It's 9:55. The right time in the right place. Now AW just needs to show up.
You made me run, Detective Locke. Poirot does not run. I'll wait, sitting down.
A gold mustache. Thank you very much. We have an appointment, I believe?
I don't think so. I've never met you.
Did you see anyone who could be AW?
No, no one. But who knows what those masks and costumes are hiding?
I have an appointment with you, don't I?
No, dove la tua maschera?
Did you have an appointment here at the fountain?
Yes, to party.
I have...
No, dove...
We have an appointment, I believe?
I don't think so. I've never met you.
If there's no one to help me, they won't mind if I help myself. Aziz Wadi. That's the only name that corresponds to the initials AW.
Paziente, non ti ho sentito. Posso aiutarla?
Hello, I'm looking for the Fontana dei Canigli. Do you know where it is?
Ah, it's right in front of the hotel. It's easy to recognize because of the rabbits.
Thank you. I had an appointment with someone, but I can't find him. I wondered if he might be staying in your hotel.
I can't help you unless you give me the name.
I have an appointment with Mr. Aziz Wadi. Do you know if he's here?
Well, unfortunately, he left the hotel this morning. He seemed to be in a hurry, but he left a carta. You are?
My name is Joanna Locke.
I'm sorry, madame. This message is not for you. I cannot give it to you.
Too bad. It's for Mr. Ratchet, right? I'm his girlfriend. He's been delayed. He asked me to pick it up.
Ah, very well. I understand perfectly. One moment then. This is the message he left for your husband.
The receptionist is here. No need to ring the bell.
So, mademoiselle, was our mysterious A.W. here?
No, but I managed to get his name, Aziz Wadi, and a letter he wrote for Ratchet. It seems to be a kind of riddle rhyme.
Let me see. Well, Ratchet and Mr. Wadi must love this book to refer to it so much.
Yes, I think we have to search and find the tracks that this person left for Ratchet to find him.
I think so. Lead the way, Mademoiselle Locke.
I've earned a gold mustache. Not really my style, but I'll take it. Hey, you. I can't lose them. Move over. Too many! Too many masks! The murderer could be standing there watching me and laughing.
Yes, Detective Locke?
The murderer got away. I'm coming back. But it looked like he dropped something when he climbed the first wall.
All right, I'll go and see. For my part, unfortunately, I could do nothing for the victim. He was already dead. I have already alerted the Italian authorities. I will see what I can find while I wait for them. Another golden mustache to treasure. The victim was stabbed. Apparently the method of choice in this case. The victim was... a bunch of keys. If, as seems likely, Mr. Wadi is a resident of Geneva, then one of these may belong to his home there. Various clothes in his suitcase. Mr. Wadi was obviously planning to leave this city. Mr. Wadi's Swiss passport. I'll see if I can find a match on the internet to confirm his identity. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. I do not think that's the right answer. No, not good. Et voilà. Mr. Wadi's... The victim... There must be several tens of thousands of dollars in this bag. A pair of women's glasses. Was Ratchet planning a new identity? There must be several. A pair of... A false passport with Ratchet's picture. Clark, Ratchet. How many others? Now he will become Enrico Caldo. It appears Ratchet changed his identity as often as his socks. A false lock. It appears... This direction looks promising.
I'm sorry I couldn't catch the suspect, Mr. Poirot.
There is no need to apologize, mademoiselle. Your efforts were marvelous. I found some information about Mr. Wadi.
Did you access the FBI database?
Don't worry, my little gray cells were enough. However, the database may confirm the origin of these banknotes.
No need. I included them when I continued my investigation.
Excellent.
Hey, I'm a pretty good detective after all. That is a great detective job. The detective gets it right. Mr. Poirot, it's part of the ransom money from the Armstrong case.
You are surprised?
I suppose not. So Ratchet had it in an account at the Banque du Lac.
It would seem so. He knew the serial numbers on the banknotes could be traced, and he could not spend it, so he stashed it there.
But now he's run low, something he didn't count on. He hopes enough time has passed so he can begin to spend the ransom money.
There is something else he didn't count on.
What's that?
He didn't count on you, Detective Locke, and your tenacity.
Thank you. But we are still left with a murderer on the loose.
But we progress. We know Mr. Wadi had an appointment with Ratchet. He had a bag full of money and a passport with Ratchet's photo, but a new name. What is your opinion about the passport?
I discovered that he was arrested in Armenia for trafficking in stolen art and was supposed to be arraigned in January. Once again, he changed his identity and vanished.
You are correct, mademoiselle. He also told me that he was threatened, and that threatening letter we found in his room was real. He had to disappear once again.
The bag isn't very big. He could have easily run away with it. If he didn't take it, it was deliberate. He wasn't interested in the money. If the motive wasn't money, it leaves passion or revenge for motive.
So, Detective Locke, what do you think? Passion or revenge?
Revenge seems like an obvious motive to me. The murderer carefully followed Wadi from the fountain to the new meeting place despite Wadi's precautions. That is cold and careful.
Excellent. We cannot yet know for certain, but that is a sound psychological analysis. We have an idea of the motive. It is the same motive as that of our 12 would-be murderers on the train. But we still must know who was under that mask.
What if Ratchet hired a hitman to kill Wadi in order to not leave a witness?
An interesting possibility, but it is much more likely that Mr. Wadi's killer is also Ratchet's killer.
Of course, if the two were stabbed in revenge, and both are tied to the Armstrong case.
Yes, so our murderer is linked to the Armstrong case. The money is linked to the Armstrong case. But these glasses that I found in the bag, they must have something to do with this case too.
Wait, those glasses mean something to me. Dr. Constantine? No, that's not it. They're the woman's glasses, and I think there's something about them. They're familiar to me somehow. Wait, I know. I've seen these. They belong to Suzanne Moreau, little Daisy's nurse. I remember seeing them in her bedroom, but they were gone the day she died.
I remember the press saying that the nurse had committed suicide.
I've always believed otherwise, and the glasses are proof that she was killed by Ratchet or his accomplice. He took those glasses. I always had a gut feeling, but now, Mr. Poirot, now I have proof Suzanne was innocent.
Yes, you do. But the question I ask myself is this. Why did Ratchet keep these glasses?
Ratchet used to leave fake evidence at the scene of his crimes to incriminate others. He did the same thing to frame Suzanne.
Possibly. But keeping an object belonging to his victim as a souvenir of the murder, that is the behavior of a fetishist.
Now that you mention it, in my investigation at the time, I had already found Daisy's hair clip in Ratchet's cabin, and now we find Suzanne's glasses in a bag for Ratchet.
2 objects from 2 victims of Ratchet. He is a trophy hunter.
Okay, we managed to clear up some of the gray areas. What now?
The bag only contained a fraction of the $1 million ransom of the Armstrong case. The rest must still be in a secure place. I will make a wager with you that it is the Banque du Lac in Geneva where Mr. Wadi worked.
Wadi was also the keeper of Ratchet's secrets. They were killed by the same murderer.
Agreed. Well, there is nothing more we can do here except wait for the police. Prepare yourself for a long evening with the police. We have a lot of explaining to do.
And after that?
A visit to Geneva, perhaps?
Here you are at last. I was worried about you.
We just left the police station. We had to explain to the Italian police that we were not murderers.
What? Another murder?
I'll tell you when we're underway. Are all passengers and staff aboard?
Yes, everyone is here. We were waiting for you.
Excellent. Let's not waste any more time. We have to make a longer than usual stop in Lausanne.
What? How long?
Long enough to do a little banking in Geneva.
But this is madness. A 13th murderer of Ratchet?
Mon ami, he was not well liked.
But Monsieur Michel would have seen anyone enter Ratchet's compartment. And there were another 10 people milling about, taking their turn at stabbing him. How could they not notice an uninvited killer?
The 13th killer could have acted when Michel was smoking on the platform at Vinkovsky. But even after the train departed, Michel was absent from his post at the end of the corridor several times the night of the murder. I must know where he really was and when. Yes, he most certainly returned to the train.
How can you be sure?
It's obvious. I mean, I hope Mr. Poirot agrees.
Please continue, Detective Locke.
All the passengers and crew are still aboard. If the killer of Mr. Wadi had remained in Venice, we would have noticed right away that someone was missing, and we could have alerted the authorities.
I promise you, I made certain everyone was aboard before we embarked.
Book, calm yourself.
Calm myself? But we're back where we started. There is still another murderer on my train. Wait a moment. Can I change my mind about my verdict? Can we turn everyone over to the police?
Everyone? Including ourselves?
What? No. No. Oh, it's a nightmare.
Let us take it step by step, my friend. We can start by eliminating all of the members of the Ratchet jury. I'm right again. That happens to me a lot. If we eliminate the 12 jurors, we are left with 7 additional suspects.
7? It's still too many.
I agree. We must reduce our list.
Excuse my impatience, Poirot. It's as if my beautiful train is cursed. Can you exonerate any of the 7?
Well done. Book worked hard to get me aboard the train. He is definitely not a suspect. Fantastic. Mademoiselle Locke cannot be a suspect. She pursued Mr. Wadi's murderer. Yes. Dr. Constantine alerted me to the 13th stab wound. He is not a suspect. My little gray cells did not... I have 4 suspects left who I must now examine more closely. Miss Nielsen, Monsieur Maury, Monsieur Fauché, and Countess Andrény.
One of my employees? Suspicious?
All 3 got off the train in Venice to restock supplies. Any one of them might have slipped away without being noticed.
I suppose. But what of Countess Andrény? You cleared her yourself.
She is cleared of the first murder, but we know little of her movements here in Venice. So, we still have 4 suspects to interview. Detective Locke?
I can't join you, Poirot. My chief saw something on the news about the case and my involvement. He's demanding an explanation. If I want to keep my badge, I have to call him.
Then you must do so by all means.
I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. I understand.
I'll make the call for my compartment. If you're looking for me, I'll be there.
I hate to say this, Poirot, but I must. There is, of course, one other suspect with a motive for murder. The ransom money.
You mean Detective Locke? Then who did she chase? Who killed Aziz? We both saw the masked murderer standing over the body.
Another delightful trophy.
Doctor, I need to question Countess Andrény.
I'm afraid that won't be possible, Mr. Poirot. The Countess had an anxiety attack when we arrived in Venice. She was terrified the police would come for her and her husband, despite how you concluded your investigation. I had to give her a sedative. She has been sleeping since.
You have stayed with her all the time we were in Venice?
Count Andrény begged me to watch over her. I have not left this room.
You're the reason she's in this state.
Book voted to absolve you all.
I accepted his verdict.
I told her. I tried to reason with her. What she has already suffered, the strain of these last few days, it was too much.
I understand, Count. It's quite all right. I have the answers I came for. Ah, Michel, I have a few more questions to ask you, if you will allow me.
Anything, Monsieur Poirot. We are in your debt.
Please tell me your movements when we were stopped at Venice Station.
Once the compartments were cleaned and the linen refreshed, I stayed in my quarters.
Did you notice anything special? Comings and goings?
Monsieur Bouc had asked everyone to stay in their compartments. I would occasionally walk the train to ensure everyone was comfortable. Oh, I saw Monsieur Maury was all alone loading his crates of provisions. A great chef like that, reduced to petty labor, I would have helped him. But Monsieur Bouc had ordered me not to leave the train for any reason. So, Monsieur Maury was forced to labor alone.
Let us review the actual timeline of the night of Ratchet's murder, not the one manufactured to hide your crime.
I left the train in Minkowski for a smoke. Then I resumed my post. That was the truth. The train departed on schedule. But then, of course, an avalanche of snow blocked the tracks. At 12:45, Madame Hubbard and I met in her compartment to discuss how to adapt our plan.
Due to the snow and Poirot.
The little play we had staged for you had to be rewritten. I left her compartment at approximately 1:15.
Then the curtain went up. Calls in the night, the red kimono, all for my benefit.
And all for nothing, as it turned out.
Do not blame yourself, Michel. I am the theater critic no playwright wants to see in the audience.
Poirot, any good news yet?
The investigation progresses, my friend.
The investigation progresses. The investigation progresses.
Saffron. It must be worth a small fortune. Come to Poirot, my exquisitely sculpted friend.
Good evening, Mademoiselle Nielsen. May I talk to you for a moment?
Of course, Mr. Poirot. I'm not going to bed right away.
Can you tell me your movements while we were stopped in Venice?
That'll be easy. I didn't move much at all. Let's see. I helped Hotaru load all of the food crates aboard the train. Hotaru had everything he needed, but I realized they forgot half of my order. I spent over an hour on the phone with the supplier without success. I had to change the dessert menu for tomorrow.
Dr. Constantine found a stab wound on Ratchet's body that was caused by a much thinner and sharper blade than the others.
Possibly a chef's knife?
My thought precisely.
And you'd like to see my knives?
If you wouldn't mind.
I would gladly show you if I had any, but I don't. I use the regular kitchen knives. You may search if you don't believe me.
I see.
All the knives the staff use are in the kitchen or in the lounge, except...
Except?
Hotaru prefers to use his own.
Monsieur Mori doesn't use the kitchen knives?
Not usually. I know he keeps a set of traditional Japanese knives in a box in his room. He doesn't let anyone else use them. Although now that I think of it, he has been using the kitchen knives lately.
Can you tell me exactly about your poker game the night of the murder?
We started around 11 p.m. In Vinkovsky, we took a short break. Hotaru and Pierre went outside to smoke. Oh, and Hotaru got sick around a few minutes past 1 a.m. 1:10 a.m., maybe? He spent about 15 minutes in the bathroom, but he didn't want to quit on a losing streak.
Did his luck improve?
No, so we played to around 2 a.m. He lost every hand.
The box is secured by some sort of locking mechanism. The design is formed by 3 commas. What is the word in Japanese? Tamoe. And it's obviously missing a piece. A black feather. That reminds me of something. None of these come close to the wounds on either body.
You play well. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Thank you. Many years of piano lessons thanks to my mother. I try to play in a few clubs in Paris when I get the chance, but as you can see, it hasn't made me rich. What can I do for you?
Conversation only.
Tell me about your time in Venice.
I had Monsieur Book's permission to see my sister. She lives in Marghera, just outside of Venice. She had a baby a few weeks ago. This was my first chance to meet my new nephew.
Monsieur Book gave you permission?
Yes, you can ask him.
Most assuredly, I will. What time did you leave, and when did you return?
I left around 9:10 p.m. I was back by 10:45 p.m. When I got back, Hotaru was in a lot of pain. I gave him a back massage.
That would have been enough time to kill Monsieur Wadi and return to the train. May I see your knives?
Of course, they are here.
If you don't mind.
Help yourself. They are under the bar counter.
Tell me again about your poker game the night of the murder.
It's a regular game to help relax after a long day. Let's see, we started around 11 p.m. We took a short break in Vinkovsky. Hotaru, Pierre, and I. The game finished up around 2 a.m. We'd all had quite a bit to drink. Ah, yes, I left for about 10 minutes to refrigerate champagne for the next day. That must have been around 1 a.m.
Good evening, Monsieur Mori. May I have a moment of your time? I have a few questions to ask you.
Of course, as long as you don't mind if dinner is ruined.
I promise to be as brief as possible. What did you do while we were stopped in Venice?
With Freya's help, I loaded fresh produce for the next part of our journey. Then, you may not believe this, but my job requires a lot of physical labor. My back suffers. Fortunately, Jean has become quite adept at separating my vertebrae.
What did you do?
With Freya, my fault.
As you may know, I have solved the murder of Monsieur Ratchet.
That is a shame.
I beg your pardon?
The bastard sent my steak tartar back, telling John I was to burn it.
I will add it to the list of his crimes. One wound on Monsieur Ratchet's body was struck by a very sharp, thin-bladed knife. We haven't found it yet.
You think one of mine was used?
I'd like to have a look, if you don't mind.
In that drawer.
An impressive set of knives, but their blades are too wide to have been used for the crime. Tell me about your poker game the night of the murder.
We started around 11 p.m. When John finished his shift. We played until around 2 a.m. From what I remember, it's a bit vague.
You played without a break?
Actually, we did break once for a smoke. John, Pierre, and I. When we stopped in Vinkovsky.
When was that?
Around midnight?
You told Fauché he could go into Venice?
Marghera, actually. Not so far away. It was his only chance to see his sister. He's been working every train for weeks. There is never time to see the new baby.
Enough, Book. Your heart does you credit, but your common sense, it...
I know. But it's fine. Isn't it? He did come back.
Oh, it's fine, as you say. Unless he saw the baby, then killed someone else and returned to the train.
But that's monstrous.
Murder is always monstrous, my friend. I've talked to everyone, but some elements of the testimonies do not seem to correspond. I need to recheck a few things. Think, Poirot. That is not a good answer. I do not think that's the right answer. This is wrong, but I'm never far from the truth. No, not good. I do not think that's the right answer. Any of the three staff members had the opportunity to kill Ratchet when Monsieur Michel wasn't watching the hallway. That's the right answer. An object that looks like a broken comma. It must be part of something else. Sushi knives, razor sharp. Sushi knives. Sushi knife. Colteria Venezia. Sushi. Remind me of what you did when the train stopped in Venice.
No problem. I helped Hotaru load all of the food crates aboard the train. Hotaru had everything he needed, but I realized they forgot half of my order. I spent over an hour on the phone with the supplier, without success. I had to change the dessert menu for tomorrow.
Mademoiselle, I believe you're hiding the truth from me.
What makes you say that?
Michel saw Monsieur Mori carrying the crates of food alone. You weren't on the platform.
I did help Hotaru.
The entire time? He carried so many crates, his back was sore.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'm guilty. I did leave him before we were finished. But I had to. There was no saffron he needed for a recipe. I volunteered to go into Venice and get him some. The Rialto market would be open late because of the carnival. He gave me money. I knew we weren't supposed to leave the train, but I only wanted to help. Mr. Mori can confirm this. Ask him. I saved dinner.
On behalf of my palate, I thank you. How long were you gone?
I left at 9:10 p.m. and was back with the saffron around 11. That's when I called my supplier for the items I was missing.
Miss Nielsen had almost 2 hours to buy the saffron, find a costume, kill Monsieur Wadi, elude Detective Locke, and make it back to the train for that phone call. Yes, it's possible that was enough time. Thank you, Mademoiselle Nielsen. That is all for now.
Sorry again, Mr. Poirot. I hope you enjoyed tonight's dessert.
I'm sorry, Monsieur Mori, but haven't you forgotten something? You haven't told me about the knives hidden in your room.
Ha! Yes, indeed. I forgot to tell you about those. They are my personal knives. I only use these knives. There are none better. I bought them all in Japan. No one is allowed to touch them except me.
I'm afraid you are better at sushi than lying.
What? What do you mean?
One of the knives has an inscription, Coltelleria Venezia. Did you happen to go shopping tonight, monsieur?
Damn you, Poirot. Very well. One of my sushi knives has been missing since the night of the murder. I thought you were going to believe I killed Ratchet. He routinely sent back my dishes to be ruined. Why does God give rich people the money to afford the best cuisine, but not the palate to appreciate it? I panicked. I know a very good store in Venice. I went to buy a knife to replace the one that had gone missing. So, I wouldn't be accused. I assure you that I had nothing to do with any murders.
I would have an easier time believing you, monsieur, if you put that knife down.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry.
What time did you leave on your little shopping trip?
I left around 9:30 p.m. I was back a little after 11. 11:15 p.m.?
Time enough to stab Monsieur Wadi and return. Very well, Monsieur Mori. That's all for now. If I have another question...
I'll be right here, cooking.
This is wrong. But I'm... Et voilà.
What have you been doing, Poirot? I am completely in the dark.
I will shine some light on the situation, my friend. I have 3 new suspects who could have killed Ratchet and Monsieur Wadi. Miss Nielsen, Monsieur Fauché, and Monsieur Maury. They all had periods of time during both murders to commit the deed, and their alibis are weak. A visit to family, and not 1, but 2 shopping trips.
But... all are my employees.
Alas, yes, my dear book. But we have no proof against any of them. None of the 3 appears to have any motive whatsoever.
But this is a tragedy.
Do not give up hope. We will catch this murderer. There is still one place that may hold the evidence we need.
Geneva.
Exact.
Do not give up hope? Well, that's easy for you to say. But what if it's Freya? What becomes of dessert? If it's Sotaru, who will cook? Me? And the worst, if it's Jean, who will serve the drinks?
I've been checking up on the Banque du Lac. I had to confirm my identity for Interpol, so they contacted my captain at the Berkshire Police.
I suspect he was not pleased.
That my vacation was actually an unofficial investigation? I'll say.
I would be happy to speak to him on your behalf.
Thank you, but he'll get over it. It's a chance to close the books on the Armstrong kidnapping. He stopped yelling, asked for a report, then granted me an extra week.
Excellent. What did you learn from Interpol about the Banque du Lac?
It's had a bad reputation for over a century. Customers have included the mafia, Nazis, corporate swindlers of every description, even heads of state.
It is true, this. It is the worst-kept secret in banking. They take advantage of the bank's strict policy of protecting the anonymity of its clients. This is in defiance of many laws from multiple countries, including Switzerland itself. Of course, I have never taken advantage of such a corrupt system.
That goes without saying, my friend.
There are ongoing investigations, subpoenas, court orders. The bank will eventually have to comply, or its assets may be seized. But until then, it still thrives, thanks to its wealthy and powerful clients.
It sounds perfect for the late Monsieur Ratchet. Do you have any ideas?
The serial numbers from some of the bills match those from the Armstrong kidnapping. We agreed in Venice that the bulk of the money must still be physically in the bank's vault.
I concur, Detective Locke. Exemplary work. So, our next task is clear. We need to get into Ratchet's safety deposit box.
There'll be codes, passwords.
And Monsieur Wadi would, of course, have known them all. The bag of money he carried is proof of that.
We'll need to find information about Ratchet's box in Wadi's office at the bank.
Most assuredly, but remember the secrecy involved. I doubt his office will contain all we need. Where else must we dig? I must admit I'm not right this time. There was nothing else. That was easy.
Mr. Wadi couldn't keep all of his secrets at the bank. Hopefully we'll find something in his apartment. We already have his address thanks to his passport, and his keys we retrieved from his body.
The train stops in Lausanne at 8 a.m. That's far from Geneva. I can delay the departure until 11 a.m. No later. The police are expecting us in Paris by the end of the afternoon at the latest. They won't tolerate any delay.
The bank doesn't open until 9. I can see only one way that gives us a chance to be on time. Ferries travel between Lausanne and Geneva, but it would take over 3 hours. We can't depend on finding a faster boat. Better to take a taxi and pray traffic is light. The best thing is to separate. One of us searches his apartment, the other searches his office. To access the safety deposit box, we need to find the key, the box number, and the passcode.
Suppose you find all this. How do you plan to get into the vault?
We are going to use the bank's anonymity policy to our advantage.
And the quickest way is for you to impersonate Ratchet.
I would rather impersonate Jack the Ripper, but in the interest of justice, I will do it.
We need to find the account number.
Along with everything else.
I will say I want access to the vault. They don't ask for papers or even names. The vault information is enough.
I'm not hearing any of this. I run a train company. I don't rob banks.
Perfect. Let's recap the plan.
I must admit I'm not right this time. I'm right again.
To sum up, we're going by taxi to Geneva. Then we'll split up. You're going to search Mr. Wadi's apartment. I'll search the office at the bank. When we have all the information we need, you pretend to be Ratchet, and we can finally find out what Ratchet is keeping hidden in his safety deposit box.
It sounds impossible.
Not for Detective Joanna Locke and Hercule Poirot.
We should get some rest.
You are right, Detective. We face our greatest challenge tomorrow. Together.
Nine o'clock. Our driver did well. It took barely an hour to get here from Lausanne.
But we must conclude our business in 1 hour as well. Book can only hold the train until 11 o'clock.
1 hour to find the key of Ratchet's safety deposit box, the box number, and its passcode. A lot to ask.
Indeed, which is why we must split our forces. I will take the cab to Monsieur Wadi's address. You must search his office.
I have you on speed dial. And thank you, Mr. Poirot.
For what, mademoiselle?
For trusting me.